Welcome back to CGN. It's Bobby G. I'm delighted to be joined today by Andie Smith, senior at Duke University. Good morning, Andie. Thanks for coming on today.
Good morning, Bobby. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much. I know it's a busy time of year and kind of you in it in the fall semester, but wanted to start out in our chat today a little bit about kind of the beginning and how you took up the game and somewhere along the way, enough positive things happened where, you just took it to the next level. So could we start out a little bit about your background and how you got started in the game of golf?
Yeah, of course. Both of my parents were athletes growing up. My dad got my brother and I started with golf at the age of 3. So we started out with plastic golf clubs and slowly progressed to metal golf clubs. Um, at 4 or 5 years old, let's call it. And golf was always about spending time with my family and having fun, playing with my little brother. My dad and my mom were always with us. They would make really fun short game competitions for the two of us. Obviously, as a sister and brother growing up, are very competitive and rivals in a lot of things. So golf would always be something fun for us to do. We'd go to school, get picked up, have a quick bite to eat, and then go out to the golf course. And that's just, I have so many fond memories of that growing up, and our weekends. I talk a lot about it. Just such great memories. We would start off going to the beach in the mornings, living in South Florida, just a couple miles from the beach. So go to the beach, do some boogie boarding, seashell scavenger hunts, and then we'd go to the golf course in the afternoon. So it was just always a lot of fun with my family on the golf course, a lot of fun memories that I have. And just the goal was always to pursue golf. My dad would always say, golf can take you places that you can't go without it. And one of those was getting a top tier education at a place like Duke University. And so I've fulfilled the family dream, and continuing to build upon it.
That's amazing. Great start. So you're from Florida, you in high school, and then you obviously started playing a lot of young, AJGA and other events. What was it about, competing at such a young age, not 3, but maybe 4, when you started competing? And what was like in your mindset, maybe kinda resonating with what your father said to you about we could take you far places. What was it in younger junior golf where you really felt like, wow, this is really amazing. I'm gonna really, put the pedal to the metal and give it a go?
Mhm. Yeah, I think golf is very unique compared to other sports where you can never perfect it and there's always something that you can get better at. And I've always enjoyed that about golf is that it's always a grind and every day is a learning opportunity if you want it to be. And so throughout my youth, playing all these tournaments, getting to travel across the state of Florida, which is obviously a very competitive junior golf landscape, really seeing how my game matched up to uh, higher competitive players and ultimately wanting to make that step into the next stage of golf. And what that looked like for me was as a middle schooler, then wanting to travel nationally. And so a big part of that push was maybe we'll get into this in a little bit, but at the age of 12, my dad suddenly passed away, and it was a big hit. But what I wanted to do was just keep his dream, our dream, alive, and continue to push for him and for my family. And that's what my trajectory looked like. Was after that, it was a burning passion, to a burning desire to achieve what we wanted to achieve together. And even though he's not here, I know he's still looking down, and that's what keeps me going, and
He
that's what
must be
kept me going.
he must be smiling ear to ear every day and so proud of you, that you've carried that torch and you've kept that fire alive and think about him all the time. And that's really a touching story. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Um, in your junior career, so you were a 6-time AJGA winner, and you dominated, the state of Florida, Arnold Palmer Invitational, South Florida Junior PGA. You're probably starting to get some really great recognition as, there. And so from that, how did you decide, where you wanted to play in college?
So, my college recruiting trajectory was a little different from a lot of other players due to changing NCAA regulations during the time that I was getting recruited, but it all started the first AJGA that I actually qualified into. Um, there was a lot of coaches there. It was at, I believe it was a field where there was an all-star tournament and then an open tournament. I believe I'm getting those terms right. If I'm not, please correct me. But it was both of them, and a lot of the coaches that were recruiting in the higher division, then went to the all-star division, which I was 14 or 15 at the time, so I was in the younger division. And that's where I saw a bunch of these college coaches, and either they were looking at me or girls in my group or girls around my pairing, and I realized, wow, like, this is a time where I really need to figure out, like, get my name out there. I wanna be known. I was known in the state of Florida, but I wasn't necessarily known outside the state of Florida, so I really made it an effort after that tournament to send emails to a ton of different college golf coaches, just get my name out there. Luckily, Duke saw me out at that tournament, and they were one of the first to express interest, so, the rest is history, but it was that exposure where I saw all these coaches coming out to recruit and realizing that, "Okay, this is a reality, and what can I do to make it happen?"
That's so cool. So it's kind of one and done, as they say.
Yeah.
So you get into Duke, obviously phenomenal institution, and then you go your freshman, you play all 11 tournaments. So for a freshman, that's really amazing, and obviously a great team. How did it work in terms of lineup, if you don't mind? Was it qualifyings all the time, or scholarship students got, a little more advantage, or how did the week to week? How did you get into all 11 tournaments besides just being so great?
So the way that Coach Brooks runs his program is that everyone has an equal opportunity to qualify for every event. And what that looks like is we will literally do for the first event, I believe it's a 4-day qualifier, so essentially a 4-day tournament of 18 holes each day. And the low five scores will travel. And that gets repeated either for another 4-day qualifier, 3-day, 2-day qualifier for each tournament. And so the lineup varies tournament to tournament, and it's just whoever plays the best in qualifying goes to the tournaments, and that's what I really appreciate about his program is that he gives everyone an equal opportunity, and it doesn't matter if you won last week's event, or if you didn't play great, you get a fresh opportunity for the next event,
Correct.
and so I was just consistently in that lineup.
That's amazing. It's a lot of great play and a lot of grinding along the way, and I don't wanna lose sight of the fact that you're also a student and an excellent student, and while you're out grinding for qualifiers and then traveling, you besides on the golf front where you were All-American and All ACC freshman, sophomore, junior year, um, you graduated college, according to my notes, in 3 years. You graduated Duke in 3 years, which is a really tough major. And now in your 4th year, you're pursuing, your advanced degree towards, your advanced education. Uh, the balance between schoolwork and being a highly, highly accomplished professional golfer is very, very, impressive, and also doesn't come without, really being dedicated, really being organized, really being, attention to the detail, and maybe some sacrifice along the way. For our younger viewers, and which, are interested in pursuing college golf, can you talk a little bit about some of the things you do and that you did freshman, sophomore, junior year? And I'm sure some of these habits started much sooner than your freshman year, but put us in your mind a little bit. And if you don't mind sharing how you were able to do both so well, because a lot of times you can do one great and the other one suffers, or you could do both average, but you've been great at both. And that is just so awesome. And I'm so honored and inspired by you this morning. So, would you mind just sharing a little bit of your secret sauce?
I'll do my best. So first off for me is I love always doing something. Sitting idle is very difficult for me, and I love being able to travel, compete, and practice, but I also equally love learning. And what if that looked like for me in college was finding classes that I really enjoyed with professors that were understanding and engaging. And I tell all underclassmen and even underclassmen that I play with in tournaments. Like, the professor is going to make or break your experience. I've had difficult, hard, bad classes, some might call it, with great professors, and I've still loved the experience. And I've had great classes with great professors, and it's the best thing in the world. And so for me, it's being excited to show up every day, and every day is an opportunity, whether it's an opportunity to go play some good golf, an opportunity to go learn something in the classroom. And you really have to foster this positive mindset, which I know is easier said than done. It's taken a lot of time to get to this point. But if you can really enjoy and look at the positives of what you're doing, it becomes that much easier to show up and do great things. And you're fostering a positive environment for yourself where almost success becomes inevitable. And whatever your definition of success that looks like, definitions of success vary from individual to individual. But for me, success is just showing up, giving it my all, and but being excited about it and being positive about it. And even if some things don't work out the way that they should, it's a learning experience, and it's something that I know going forward, so that if I'm faced with the same situation again, I know how to approach that moving forward.
It's just so amazing at your level and your age to have that much wisdom and maturity and execution on all those fronts. So you mentioned earlier, so that's just thank you. That was really awesome share, and I hope a lot of our young viewers, can learn from that. I'm sure they will. You mentioned earlier about perfection, and I want to get in your mind a little bit, and also on the theme of passing on some wisdom. How do you This never happens to me, but I hear once in a while golfers will hit not a good shot. Mine are always perfect. But for the rest of you out there, maybe it happens where you don't hit a good shot, or you get a bad break. You wind up in a divot, or sometimes you hit a tree and it goes in the fairway, other times it goes in the water. How does Andie Smith put that thought out of her mind in the rearview mirror and focus on the next shot? What do you do?
So I will admit I do have a fire on the golf course, and I do give myself 5 to 15 seconds to let out my anger, frustration, whatever emotion you wanna call it. But after that time is over, I'm moving on to the next shot. And it really takes practice of putting yourself in uncomfortable situations to get to that point. But at the end of the day, it's okay to let out some whatever you need to do to release the anger or the frustration. That's what comes out from me. Some people it's sadness, some people it's just aggravation. But give yourself the grace to, okay, I'm human. Like, I hit a bad shot. Sometimes we're just all not robots. But let it out. And then the other part of that is, if you're just not a robot and we just hit bad shots, that's okay. But if it's something else, such as a lot of times you're not completely clear on what you wanna do, on what you wanna execute, or you didn't trust it 100%. And if it's one of those things, which typically for me, and I think a lot of high-level golfers, it tends to be one of those 2 things. Okay, I know that going forward, I wasn't completely committed and trusted on that shot. Now going forward on the next shot, I'm gonna make sure before I hit it, I'm 100% trusting and committed to this shot. Otherwise, I'm not gonna hit it. I'm gonna back off. I'm gonna figure out, okay, what's causing my doubt, my, lack of clarity, lack of trust, and, okay, let's fix it. And I think an important aspect of that is that the right shot is gonna be the one that you're most comfortable in. Um, and I think that holds true around the greens especially. For some people, people wanna hit a bump and run, and for others, they wanna hit a high and soft shot. And you just need to be 100% trusting in what you're most comfortable in. And knowing that going forward, that's a recipe for success. Whereas, like, you can't attach your self-worth to the outcome of a shot. And I think that goes it's a bias that every human exhibits, and it's something called belief perseverance, where a lot of times we feel defined by short-term struggles. We cling to negative self-beliefs about a bad hole, a bad shot, or a bad round. And instead, I'd like to encourage younger golfers to instead recall those past shots that you've hit great, whether you sunk a putt or you hit an awesome drive. Being able to trust their preparation and their pre-shot routine and learning from the struggles, the bad shots, and using the setbacks as the motivation. Because like I said, you're able to learn from it, and then moving forward, you know how to, like, you're faced with the same situation, you know how to combat it going forward. Um, and that's a big step to take, and it only gets better with practice. And you're gonna mess it up more times than you can count before you get really good at it, as I can attest to. So,
I don't want to embarrass you, but I ask this question a lot. The one I ask you, and that is absolutely the best answer I've ever heard. So thank you, 1,000 thank yous for that answer. It's really, really helpful and great, advice and guidance for our younger players. So you mentioned a couple different shots. So let's just maybe talk a little bit about golf. What's in your bag right now? What do you play with?
what do I play? Like club type?
Yes.
Oh, like brand or
Yeah.
oh, okay. I have Scotty Cameron putter and then Titleist everything else.
Okay.
It's been like that for a while. Yes.
Okay. All right. Great. Good to know. And just reflecting a little bit back, your junior year, you finished great. You ended the season 43rd nationally, but then you had an unbelievable. Excuse me, sorry. You had an unbelievable summer and some big time tournaments, including the U.S. Open. How was that teeing it up with professionals?
It it was a great experience from start to finish. I think the USGA does a impeccable job at setting up a championship level golf course and just championship level tournament from start to finish for the players and for the fans. So it was a really cool experience to get to hit on the range next to the world's top players and play some practice rounds with the world's top players. And but really what I did was I went into that week as a learning experience, taking notes, not literally taking notes, but taking mental notes, um, of the players, what they were doing, how they approached, preparation, their practice, even the quiet time that they spent to themselves before each round. A lot of them had a very, noticeable pre-shot routine on the practice putting green on every single putt, which was something that I really haven't been exposed to before, and a lot of their methods varied, across the players, and it was very interesting to see how each what worked for each person, and it was a great experience. It was definitely a really tough golf course, but I'm very happy with all of the reflections and the learning experiences that I took out of the week, and moving forward, I think that prepared me for a couple more big events during that summer.
Yeah, it clearly did in terms of the summer success, and then it catapulted you right, in freshman year, sorry, senior year right now, where you hit it right out of the park. You're crushing it. So, last couple of questions. I'm kind of curious as to what your personal goals are and the team goals for the rest of this year.
Yeah. So I'd say starting with the team, we came off this past weekend, runner-up finish at the Tar Heel and, co-champions at the Windy City Intercollegiate. So, I think our team is definitely trending. We have a great group, a very talented group, and I think a couple more team wins are in our future, as well as a run at the national championship. I have no doubt about that. In terms of individually, I'm very excited with the way that my game is moving. I'm learning a lot about myself these past couple weeks and obviously from the summer tournaments, and I'm excited to build upon that. And moving forward, couple individual wins wouldn't be too shabby, and just keep on being into my process, into my preparation, and uh, the results, the outcomes are a side effect of the work that I've been putting in, and so I just focus on the work and the
Well, I just looked into my crystal ball right here on my desk behind my computer, and it's looking really good as to that outcome. So, good news there. What the role that you had, the relationship you have with your mother and your brother, can you just, this opportunity where you get to do a shout out and show some love to them, and I know they've played an important part as your father continues to play an important part. Do you want to just tell us a little bit about your relationship and how awesome they are?
Yeah, I mean, my mom and my brother, they're my everything. They are my rock. They're there for me in good times and the bad times. They're there to make me laugh, especially my brother. He's a little jokester. And they're my shoulder to cry on. And I'm very blessed to have such a supportive system in my corner. It was especially special. No, especially special. Um, this past summer, my brother actually was my caddy at the women's amateur and at the US women's amateur, and I just know my mother walking along the fairway watching us was just a full circle moment, getting to see her 2 kids, now no longer fighting as young kids do, but now, bonding as brother and sister and young adults, and so, um, I'm very grateful for them. I'm excited to go home for Thanksgiving and see them again and my dog, so they're the best. I'm so lucky to have them.
And you just gave me such a chill from that story. It was so emotionally strong and so loving. So thank you. That was really a beautiful moment. It was so visual the way you described it. And I know your brother hasn't been able to beat you yet, but eventually he won't be able to caddy for you in some of those tournaments as his career takes off. So I'm gonna just throw my hat in the ring. If you need a really good caddy and someone to make you laugh and keep you calm, I'm gonna volunteer. I'll clear that through Duke, but you don't have to pay me. It'd just be my pleasure to pay you back for taking the time out this morning for this interview. So, last question. I'm curious if you have a favorite karaoke song or walk off song that you really gets you going.
I would say karaoke song would be "Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi, and I just say that because I'm a horrible singer, and all I need to do is sing the first 5 words, and then everyone will take over from there. Um,
I love your style. I love your
yeah,
style.
I
That's
had a
great.
debated conversation with, my trainer about this, and he brought up that point, and I was like, "That's a wonderful point." Initially, my karaoke song would have been, "Live Like You Were Dying" by, Tim McGraw, but not as many people know that as "Living on a Prayer," so yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. It was such a pleasure and an honor to meet you. And thank you to your team and Lindy Brown for putting this together and really, really pulling for you. The crystal ball is showing green light, thumbs up the whole way down the road here. So we're going to keep rooting for you. We really at CGN appreciate the relationship with Duke University and wish you a awesome rest of fall season, and we'll be pulling and collaborating and cheering you on the whole way. So thanks again, Andy, for your time today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.